Hello everyone and welcome to my follow-up video on CK, its changes that they've introduced in the third installment, and this is mainly going to be focusing on the actual once you select a ruler. So my previous video was going into everything before you actually select your ruler, so the options menu, talking about the game engine improvements a bit and just the ruler selection in general and what sort of information you can glean from there. But this video we're going to be going into the actual game itself, full game, and looking at all the UI changes there. Apologies, this video is a bit late. I did want to actually get it out this Saturday gone, but then some things came up, and then I meant to get it out on Sunday, and then miraculously became ill for about 12 hours, and then wasn't ill anymore. That was strange, but it doesn't matter. It's coming now, and I'm glad, because I have heard of already some big UI improvements on the way from Paradox, which they will be describing soon in some patch notes. So it's a good time to get this video out, and then we can compare when those patch notes come out what the differences are. So that should be fun. But anyway, let's dive into this before we take too long and see what's going on in the actual game, shall we? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boot a new game up, and we are going to go the guy I streamed as, Louis II of Italy. I'm not really going to change anything. We're just going to go right into the game as him, and we're going to use him to look around, see what's going on. He has the added benefit of being at war. There's a few little UI changes of being at war, so it is nice to actually be in a war for this video to see what's going on. So here we are in the actual game itself. I believe I briefly came into the game last video, but I didn't really show you a lot apart from scrolling in and out of the map and stuff. To show you the new engine and how smooth that is. That was pretty much the extent of what I did last time. But no, this time we're going to go a bit more in depth. It's probably going to be a bit of a longer video than the last one, but try and keep it as concise as possible. If you do actually have further inquiries about certain aspects of the menu, because I've already had multiple questions about where things are, then please do let me know, because obviously quite a few people have picked up CK3 since my last video, but I know there's still newcomers to the series in general, and even older players, all sorts of players. I've seen questions abound already about aspects of the interface, so if you have any specific questions, do let me know, and I may even make a specific video on it. Say if it was a video about just the military interface and all the UI aspects you need to know about with the military, that could be an option. But anyway, let's dive in, and I'm going to start with the character menu, which is now located in the bottom left, not the top left like it used to be. It's now represented by your 3D character model, which is pretty nice, very nice, gotta say. And I've got good old Louis II here, chilling out with his nice crown, and all we have to do is just click on him, open this up, and there we go. And this is quite a familiar menu to CK2, obviously it's much nicer looking. But it's pretty similar. I haven't actually found out what the hotkey for this menu is. It's not C. C is character search. It's not C. I don't know what it is. And something I didn't realise, because I hadn't actually realised by the point of my last video, there's no controls section. There's no keybinds section at all. So you can't actually see what any of the shortcuts are. I think your only possibility is maybe mousing over things. Yeah. You can see in the bottom right of those tooltips, it's got a shortcut, but there's this thing like, is that, there we go, find character. I haven't actually seen that. So that doesn't even tell you the hotkey there. So it is C, but that doesn't tell you, so that's a bit of a mistake. They should probably correct that. But yeah, I have no idea what the character selection hotkey is, because it doesn't show you. I'm sure, I would imagine there is one, but I can't find it unless it's F1. It is F1. Okay, I've immediately discovered what it is. Anyway, so this is the main character menu, where you've got your main player here, your main character. That is me, King Louis II, the Younger of Italy. Still got those little titles in the name. Behind you, you always have your spouse, who's often looking lovingly at you. I hope they are, otherwise you might not last. You might not be long for this world. That's all I'm saying. I speculated that the crib in the background could have a baby in the mess, so I'm pretty sure that is not true at all. I swear they said that was going to be a thing in a dev diary, but I probably read it wrong. It's just a bit weird that it is there. I assume it's a crib anyway. It has no purpose, so ignore that. But anyway, to the right you've got your heir, just immediately visible there, which is very nice. And hovering over them also highlights them in your children, you'll see at the bottom there. So yeah, it mouses down, it highlights her down here. Now, this highlight thing, which I mentioned briefly last video, is very important. It's just a nice little touch. In events, things that are going to affect the characters in the events, if it's going to affect them, it will light up there behind their head. If it's not, certain options will affect one of the characters in the event, but not the other. In that case, it only lights up one of their heads. So it's a little gesture to see, you know, who's actually affected by what you're going to do. It's not even necessary, but it's a nice little touch, I think. It really adds some visual presentation to your actions. So yeah, that's a nice little change. Anyway, moving on. Right after your name here, you've got your age and your health, which is much easier to view than the previous game. I believe... Nah, actually, I don't think you ever could see it. But if you could, it was just the default 5 stat I think you could see, and then you could see which traits were taken away. But anyway, you've got a better overall actual look at the health, and if there's anything wrong with them, it'll sum up everything that's affecting them here, and the overall health will say poor, or I've seen it be better than fine, I've seen it being quite good, and it will usually say why that is. So that's a nice little upgrade, the health, gotta say. The age is nice and viewable there. Anyway, below that, we got just, this is you. You have your sexual orientation. I thought in the dev diary they said this set at 10, but I have not seen it set at 10, so I don't know if it's 11. I can't remember. It's I don't know. It's between 10 and 13 at some point. I can't remember quite where they said it was going to set. But it doesn't appear to be 10 anyway. And then below that, you've got your traits, the classic traits. You typically have a lot less than in CK2, but I have still seen characters have at least about 10, because you get extra traits. But these 3 are sort of your base personality traits. So this guy's arrogance, fickle, and greedy. And then you have your education trait, which is carried over from CK2, and I believe they're all the same names. If not, most of them are the same. Fortune builder and everything I've seen is the same. So that's good. Nice little continuation from CK2 there. Below that, you've got your stats. No major change. Prowess has changed quite a bit. It used to go up, I mean, I got my prowess up to, I think, 161, so maybe 130. Very high, but now they've just really scaled it back. It doesn't need to go the higher numbers. 10 is pretty good, actually. That's typically the best, I mean, usually the best commander I've had, 10 or 11. You can still get better, but that's a good average. Yeah, and then you have the main dynasty here, which is very visible, very accessible. You can go on that, you can see the dynasty head. They now have a sort of reputation. I believe they may have it in CK2, but it's a lot more fleshed out here. And they are able to spend points and earn upgrades for the entire dynasty. You can only do that if you're the dynasty head, though, so a lot of the time... they will be spending stuff that you may not even want, but what can you do? And even if you form a split house, you can form a branch of the dynasty, which you will be the head of, but you still do not control the upgrades for the overall dynasty. Which is, it's a bit of a shame. It'd be nice if there was like much smaller upgrades for your cadet branch, is what they're called, but no, you just have the overall upgrades, and you still contribute to the overall renown of the house. So I feel like it'd be nice if you contributed a bit more to the renown of your own cadet branch, but I get it, because you're still part of the main dynasty at the end of the day. And they also have their motto at the top, which I think is really cool, and when they're founded, all that good stuff, and the living members, which you can see here. And you can also go into the dynasty tree, which I believe is way better in this game. Now, you can't see it here, but in a later game, cadet branches have blue boxes around them, typically. And if they don't, you can often see them splitting off. I just find this whole menu a lot better than the one CK2. The whole paper thing was honestly not that easy to look at. It wasn't that great on the eyes. I much prefer this more digital interface. You've still got like a really stylized drawing of a sort of coat of arms back there. But especially once there's cadet branches and everything, I actually find this way easier to look at than previous games. The previous game, I haven't actually played CK1. This is just comparing it to CK2. CK1, very long time ago. We don't remember those dark times. Anyway, next we just have... that is not even me. Anyway, continuing off. Next we have the Kingdom of Italy, my main title. That it's feudal, kingdom rank, realm, all that good stuff. Yes, it's... Let's see. Yeah, so we're a kingdom, basically. And then you've got some of your income here. So you have your gold, your prestige, your piety, the classic stuff from CK. But you also have dread, which is nice. You can build dread and you can make vassals fear you, and they're more likely to not act against you. And if they do, they'll be pretty sneaky about it, which is nice. It can stop people really just rising up against you. But it could still backfire. They could maybe go a bit more for an assassination scheme. So still got to be careful, but dread is a nice feature, I find. Although sometimes I feel like it can be a little easy to build up intimidation in people. Even with just a little bit of dread, they can have intimidation. It doesn't really ever tell you how intimidated they are. I don't know. It just seems either they're intimidated or they're not. Maybe they could expand a little bit on that, but I don't really know if it's necessary at this stage to go that in depth in the intimidation. Although some events around being a dreadful character, you know, having dread, I'd like to see some flavour events around that. There currently doesn't appear to be any, but that would be nice. But again, I feel like it would need to be more difficult to build dread if you wanted events around it. Otherwise, I'd be getting them all the time. Because even as, like, nice, stable characters, I've built up dread fairly easily sometimes, even to 50 out of 100. So yeah, I feel like it should be a little bit easier to... I think it should be harder to build up. And it should take longer. It should be like the sort of legacy thing. You shouldn't just have this dread and make these 60-year-old vassals fear you so quickly. I think it should take a lot longer, maybe. A bit of an eventual thing, but that'll be a nice little improvement I'd like to see. But anyway, I still like the dread system, don't get me wrong. But it is what it is. Anyway, don't want to hold up on that too long. May go into that more specifically in the future. And then at the end, you've got your military strength, and it will break it down if you have men-at-arms units and knights. I'll go into them a bit more in a second. But more importantly, more helpfully, they're just up in the top right here, which is great. And you've got those resources here as well as your dynasty's renown. So that's all good up there. Oh, and your domain holding at the end, which is nice. They've just changed the spelling on that to ease it for everyone, but it's pretty much the same word anyway. And anyway, back to this menu, you've got your titles, you've got your claims, classic CK, although I think they're a bit easier to see. They used to kind of just all be alongside each other, not anymore. They are kind of separated into two rows here. You can see a domain again here, actually. And then we've got the diplomacy side. This has changed a bit. You can see your wars here, but critically, the difference here is you can also see your alliances. Now, you can't actually currently see one because I don't have one, but here, this guy does have one. Alliances used to be in sort of a relation, not a relationship panel, but one of these tabs, and I thought it wasn't a great system. I think having them plainly visible right here is just easier. I can just one right click and I can see who their allies are. I much prefer this improvement, in my opinion. I think it's a good one. So yeah, just wars and alliances here. Also truces. It will show truces here, which is a bit of a callback to EU4's system, I guess. It makes it just easier to see truces in general. So I like that, or just being here. I've never really seen it get super crowded. I'll have to comment if I ever feel it gets that way, but I've seen quite a few wars and alliances here, and it's generally not too confusing. It can be a bit confusing who they're between, but other than that, it's generally a pretty good system, I find. Maybe cleaned up a little bit, but in general, it's good, I find. Anyway, moving on from this whole section, we just have the characters section below that. Now, this is obviously very familiar to anyone who's played CK2. You've got your family, you've got your relationships, your court, and your vassals. So you've got all your random guests, your wife, and some knights here. And then your actual vassals, you can immediately see in red, powerful vassals. They do also have the fists that they used to, which will be red if they don't have a council position, like good old Prince Bishop Benedictus here. He has a red fist. So yeah, you still got your powerful vassals. They're implemented better in this game, in my opinion, although they can be a little easier to push over also, in my opinion. A little too easy. But also not as ridiculously tough to push over as they used to be in CK2. I guess it's hard to find a balance, but I think I do prefer how they are now. They were a bit too annoying in CK2, powerful vassals. Yeah. They still can be a real problem if you don't manage them in this, do not get me wrong. I think I've just generally had good opinion on my current stream save, so I think I'm doing quite well there. But in another save, I've actually had quite a bit more problem with the powerful vassals. And then, of course, you just got your parents, grandparents, children, siblings. This is pretty much the same. No major differences. You can see how they died. You can see if they're your heir, member of your dynasty, all that good stuff. Relationships, wards, lovers, friends, rivals, that's pretty much the same. Guardians are just named wards now, which is a better change, in my opinion. And there's not a whole lot else changed here. It's just cleaner. It's obviously less stylized, you know, in that historical sort of papery. You know, I get it. I'm attached to that old system, but I'm also in favour of really modernising it and making it look clean and readable. And the whole game is so much more readable, especially for my poorer eyesight, as I mentioned in the previous video. So I do appreciate them cleaning it up like this. I really do. Especially the titles and claims being separated so cleanly. That is nice. And all the resources very cleanly separated here. So that's everything for this menu. That was already took a while, but we'll quickly jump into the tech tree, which you can very quickly access down here. When you first start the game, you have to choose your lifestyle choice, and this is basically your ambition from CK2, and they've just adapted it into the tech system. So we're in the stewardship trait, as that is my education trait, so I get 30% more experience. And this is basically the ambitions, the focuses that you used to choose. You know, you had family focus, seduction focus. This is those now, but each one has 3. So you can see there is still a temptation focus is what it's called now. That still exists. Seduction, scheme power, fertility, that's still there, just a bit changed. But yeah, each one, I found, I mean, I think 1 or 2 of the trees, like one of them just generally isn't that good an option. But I always find at least 2 of them are a kind of a difficult choice to choose between. I think most of the options are very good. I found most of the options are very useful at certain parts of your playthrough, and I don't think any of them are terrible. Maybe like 1 or 2 are weaker, but for the most part, I think they're good. I think this one especially is quite balanced. You can get more income, you can just get flat more stewardship, or you can get a bit more stewardship. You can reduce the acceptance of agents, but you can also have courtier and guest opinion going up, which I think is a nice little balance there. I do like that. And I think the whole tech tree in general is just so much better. The tech tree was really redundant in CK2. It was just flat stack gains, especially if you started in the age of Charlemagne. Oh my goodness, it took ages to get upgrades. Understandably, otherwise you'd have like super good siege, military organization and siege warfare way too quickly. But still, it was just not a good system at all. This is so much better. I generally, if my character lives a pretty good long life, I typically I'm able to max 2 trees. I've never been able to max 3. I think if I don't know. I definitely think you can, especially with events. I've got pretty close to maxing 3. So I definitely think it's possible, but you need to live into your 70s at least, I think, to do it. I mean, I lived to 78 on a character, and I wasn't able to max all 3. So it's difficult, but I think it probably can be done, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's an achievement for it. I do think it's possible because I've got quite close to it. So anyway, that is the tech tree. Pretty nice system. I do like it a lot. And we'll quickly, I think, shoot through the side menus. So first of all, we have Realm. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, although you can apparently see a general sum of vassal opinion. You can see your dread and your vassal limit straight away. You can see where your taxes and levies are coming from, which is a nice little breakdown. You got your vassals, feudal, theocracy, theocratic, I think, and republican. But yeah, we mostly have feudal vassals at the moment. You can see what their contract is, which is a nice little sort of upgrade of previous systems. You can see there's not just an individual flat law now that sets the church levies. It's now independent. The levies on everyone is independent and can be modified via events. If they put pressure on you, you might have to lower it. If they failed you, you can up it. But right now they're all normal. They're providing normal levies and normal taxes. You can see their realm size, their stats, their levies, taxes paid to me, and levies given to me, and just a lot of important information, pretty much, straight away there, which is very nice. You can see your succession laws here. Very easy to get to it. I think this entire thing is just so much less confusing. I think it really describes everything so much better. And now only powerful vassals can disapprove big law changes like this. Whereas previously, every single vassal had to have a positive opinion of you, which was insane. Now only powerful vassals need this done. I was aware of this change coming in before CK3 launched. I was a huge supporter of it. It's a very good change. Same with gender laws. And you can see your designated heir and just who you're going to play as here. Yes, this is a Confederate partition, so it's going to break up, which is a bit of a sad time. You can also change your crown authority at the top here. There isn't really much of a law menu anymore. You don't really pass laws like that. You've got your succession laws, your gender laws. You've got your organization, but the smaller laws, there's not really many of them anymore. And a lot of the time, you can never pass them anyway, to be honest. Then you've got your domain. You've got a really easy system. You can see which duchy they're in, and you can just scroll through. You can see how many levies they got. You can typically see if they're not really that powerful. I'll just give them to someone. You can instantly click on them, click Grand 2 down here, and just bam, give it to someone. Opinion of me, relevance, rank, everything. It's so easy to give people their land now and lower your domain limit, which is really nice. I do like that a lot, I'm not gonna lie. It's a very nice system. Moving on to the military screen, we've got levies and knights. Knights are smaller elite units that are actual character lords. Levies are just nameless units drafted from the peasants, and they do not counter any type of infantry. They're just flat numbers, flat units, meat shields thrown into the fray. The real cream of the crop is the men-at-arms, which are basically expanded on the retinue system. And retinues actually used to draw from your top total pool of units, but now they add to it, which is better. So you can actually get siege weapons now as their own thing to add into your armies, and they make a big impact in siege speed. You're not really going to break walls without them, or it's a very low chance with them. With even just 2 of these men-at-arms retinues, it makes a big difference to siege progress. It really does. Far more likely to break through. They do not cost much to... when you first build them up, they build up over time, they might cost a bit, but then once they're fully ready, they really don't cost that much to maintain, and I find them very important. Almost all the AIs have a few men-at-arms retinues, and I highly recommend doing so and holding some of your own. We've also got the mercenaries, which is a vastly improved upon system, in my opinion. It's just a flat cost now, no more upkeep anymore. So you just pay a flat cost and you get a 3-year contract that applies to all of them, and you can even disband them if you don't need them, and if you suddenly get called to war later, you can raise them again as long as it's within this 3-year window. Before the window is up, you can renew the contract if you want, and I believe it's the same cost. But they also may have taken losses, so you might want to take that into account. Much prefer the mercenary system now. A lot of AI, I find AI uses mercenaries quite a bit more than it used to, so do watch out for that. And then you've got the Holy Orders, none of which are even a thing right now, but you can found your own, which is very cool. And I could have done it, and I left it, and I wish I had done it. You know, what are you going to do? Yeah, so I think I will split this video a little bit. But what I'm going to look at next is the council system. So the councillors, not a whole lot has changed. Their actions are pretty similar, but critically, the spouse is now included, so they actually, do something. And she is very good because she can add 10 diplomacy to me, which really, it got his opinion up by 12. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a major increase, major buff. I like it a lot. It's very nice to have. Most of the tasks are the same, but there are some additional systems which I think I'll go in more to in my next video. As I said, I think this is going to be a longer one, so I will split it up. I will dive into these tasks next time. But for the most part, it's pretty similar. You can appoint new chancellors. You generally want to keep quite a few of your powerful vassals in. You definitely don't need them all in power, but for the most part, I have a good few of them. And I usually have a mix of them, because they usually have awful stats. Not all of them. This guy's 20 martial, which is very good, and he's a powerful vassal. But this guy's only 8 diplomacy, and he's a powerful vassal. So I usually have a mix of like 1 or 2 super good people who are on powerful vassals, and then the rest just being powerful vassals. I'm not actually allowed to appoint the bishop, but their approval is a lot more important in this game. If they don't approve of you, they will not give you any levies or taxes, so it's really important to get their approval. He's also actually intimidated of me, and I don't have any dread, so that's interesting. I thought you had to at least have some dread, but apparently not. So yeah, there you go. Most of the tasks are the same, but there are a few additional ones that I'd really like to talk about next time. So next time we will go into those extra tasks. I'll go into the court, the intrigue, the factions, the decisions, all good stuff. I'll go into raising armies, map modes, I guess, and a few other little pieces, including culture, religion, all that good stuff. And we will continue on that. So this video will sort of be in 2 parts, since there is quite a bit to talk on with the UI. But for the most part, so far, I am really satisfied with the changes. It's looking really good in my opinion, and I can't wait. In the next video, I'm actually going to talk about some of my favourite features that they've changed, because even though I really like the model down here, the character menu, I think this is great. Some of my favourite new features are yet to come, so you can look forward to seeing those. But yeah, I will speak on them next time. Hope to catch you there, and until then, thank you so much for watching.